Picture a woman walking slowly down a dusty road, balancing a water jug on her shoulder, shifting its weight from one side to the other now and then. She is alone and it is noon. Imagine how hot it is too, the sun beating down on her as she pauses now and then to shift the weight of the clay jug from one shoulder to the other. The only blessing is that the jug is empty, but once she arrives at the well and fills it to the brim, it will be so much heavier. She is alone and it is noon, which is strange for a first-century Middle Eastern woman. The fetching of the water from the well was an early morning task. You can't start the chores of the day without water, and you would want to get that long, hot walk out of the way before the sun was too high in the sky. Women would go first thing in the morning, maybe before sunrise, and probably together. It was more pleasant and safer to have company on the road. Yet our story today from the 4th chapter of John involves a woman going to the well at noon to draw water alone. Assumptions have been made about why this is. Is she a social pariah, unwelcome to walk with the others? Is she a prostitute working all night and just able to shake herself awake by noon? Or is she lazy and simply likes to sleep all morning long? She's been the subject of much gossipy speculation since the story was recorded 19 centuries ago, which probably says more about us and less about her. We do love to tell stories about other people, and if we don't have the facts, we are more than happy to make them up. Maybe that's her story. Maybe she goes to the well alone to get away from the people who have made up all kinds of stories about her. Maybe she needs that time alone to balance what people say about her with what she knows to be true. Maybe that solitary walk to the well is the only time when she can clear her head of the voices telling her she is unworthy or unlovable or bad luck. 5 husbands she has had and lost. We don't know why, but can you imagine the depth of that woman's pain? Maybe she's just not able to cope with all those women chattering and laughing about this and that, looking at her sideways the way people do with pity or reproach or disgust or fear. Maybe she just wants them to mind their own business. But look what I just did. I made up a story about someone I've never met. It was too easy to do. In my defense, I was just trying to balance out the more mean-spirited speculations I have heard about the Samaritan woman at the well. But still, who am I to say? The part about 5 husbands, that's true. But as for why she goes to the well alone at noon, I can't know that. No one can. That is her own untold story. But what happens when she gets to the well, that is our focus today. And I'd like to share the story with you because this is where her story does become our business, we who follow Jesus. You see, on that day, Jesus happened to be in the neighborhood traveling with his disciples through Samaria. It was noon and Jesus was hot and tired, so he sat down at this historic well, the well of his ancestor Jacob, and guess who showed up? A Samaritan woman came to draw water, and Jesus said to her, "Give me a drink." His disciples had gone to the city to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "How is it that you, a Jew, ask a drink of me, a woman of Samaria? Jews do not share things in common with Samaritans." Jesus answered her, "If you knew the gift of God and who it is saying to you, 'Give me a drink,' you would have asked him and he would have given you living water." The woman said to him, "Sir, you have no bucket and the well is deep. Where do you get that living water? Are you greater than our ancestor Jacob, who gave us the well, and with his sons and his flocks drank from it?" Jesus said to her, "Everyone who drinks of this water will be thirsty again, but those who drink of the water that I will give them will never be thirsty. The water that I will give will become in them a spring of water gushing up to eternal life." The woman said to him, "Sir, give me this water so that I may never be thirsty or have to keep coming here to draw water." What a gift Jesus gave this woman. Of course, she will never be free of the literal task of carrying the water. It will remain a daily chore for the rest of her life until she is too old to carry water. But Jesus has given this woman something just as life-giving. He has given her the gift of being seen. She who goes to the well alone at noon, unseen. What did Jesus see in this lonely woman? He wasn't blind to her alleged shortcomings. Somehow he knew her story. Uncannily, he saw right to the heart of the matter, and he let her know he had seen it too. Jesus said to her, "Go call your husband and come back." The woman answered him, "I have no husband." Jesus said to her, "You are right in saying, 'I have no husband,' for you have had 5 husbands, and the one you have now is not your husband. What you have said is true." I have no idea how he knew that part of her story. It's a Jesus thing. I'm not going to overthink it, but what matters to me is that he saw that she was much more than that story. The story of the 5 husbands, whatever that story is, Likely the reason why she goes to the well alone, friendless in the scorching sun, balancing an empty water jug on her shoulder, balancing the idle tales with the truth, balancing her need to connect with her need to self-protect. But there I go again, making up a story that is not mine. But the part of her story that is mine is that I know how it feels to be seen for what I am after a season of being seen as something I wasn't. Maybe you know that feeling too. I think we all go through seasons in life when we feel lonely, unseen, even misunderstood. And then there is that life-changing moment when someone sees the real you, and what a gift that is. And that is the gift Jesus gave to this woman at the well, letting her know that even though he saw all the other stuff that might have felt shameful and secretive, he still found her worthy, good enough to share a cup of water with, in spite of the many taboos that should have stopped him. Jews didn't eat or drink with Samaritans, men didn't talk to women, and so on and so forth. All these rules keeping people apart, drawing lines between human beings, all beloved children of God, when along came Jesus, sent because God so loved the world. And how did Jesus show that great love? By sharing a drink with a reviled Samaritan woman. And because he had shown her that she is worthy, she dared to engage him in conversation, showing him she had a keen mind full of questions. She got right to the point of the biggest thing that divided them, their theological differences. The woman said to him, "Sir, I see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain, but you say the place where people must worship is in Jerusalem." Jesus said to her, "Woman, believe me, the hour is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You worship what you do not know. We worship what we know, for salvation is from the Jews. But the hour is coming, and now here, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father seeks such as these to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth." The woman said to him, "I know that Messiah is coming, who is called Christ, and when he comes, he will proclaim all things to us." Jesus said to her, "I am he, the one who is speaking to you." Just then his disciples came, and they were astonished he was speaking with a woman, but no one said, "What do you want?" or "Why are you speaking with her?" Then the woman left her water jar and went back to the city. She said to the people, "Come and see a man who told me everything I have ever done. He cannot be the Messiah, can he?" They left the city and were on their way to him. I love it. This conversation with Jesus has filled her cup to the brim, and she goes back to the city, leaving her water jar behind. Probably a tactical error. She'll have to make an extra trip to go retrieve it, and the day isn't getting any cooler for quite a while. But you see, Jesus has met such a basic human need for this woman who was parched for human connection and validation and maybe even intellectual stimulation. And Jesus just poured all of that into her, all because he asked her for a drink. Because he was thirsty too, only literally. We all have something someone else needs, and in this world of ours, when we have been taught we have to do it all on our own, take care of ourselves, prove our worth, fake it till we make it, how long can we keep up that balancing act, pretending that we have all the things we need and don't need a thing from anyone else? Oh, we hate to ask for help because we don't like to appear incapable or worse, to burden others. But what a true honor it is when someone calls us up and says, "Listen, I really need a friend right now." Yeah, please, I need that gift too. I also need a friend. Can we meet and talk? And what else can we do for each other? Because I'm weary of trying to do things all on my own, pretending that I can balance all the things that I have been given. It is a balancing act, this life, as we shift the weight from one shoulder to the other, hoping that no one will notice we're about to fall over or that we've dropped some pretty important things. But just remember that Jesus said, "Give me a drink." Jesus said this, the guy who could turn water to wine, heal the sick, control the sea. Not that she knew any of this, the woman at the well, but if she had, she might have told him to get his own drink if indeed he was the Son of God. But as capable as Jesus was of doing pretty much anything he wanted, he didn't come to show us how to be miracle workers. He came to show us how to connect with people, to recognize mutual needs and figure out how to meet them together. It's a shift in perspective, isn't it? A new balance when we internalize Jesus' teaching and realize, oh, I was made for community. Yes, you were. You see, Jesus came to save us, to help us find our way back into relationship with God and with each other, which is why this essential teaching of connection and interdependency happens in a foreign country with a marginalized woman. He could not have picked a lower category of person, except maybe a child with a dreaded skin disease. But, oh wait, he connected with kids and lepers too. That Jesus, shaking things up, refusing to stay in his lane, going into the wrong neighborhoods, talking to all the wrong people, and not only to teach them, but to listen to them, to let them share their questions, to hear their stories, and to receive what they too had to offer. That woman had a water jar. Hey, can you give me a drink of that water? What do you wish you could give to the world? How would you like the world to see you? Jesus sees you that way. And in this story, I hear him inviting all of us to share what we've got with the world, because God knows there are needs. And I know that maybe you don't feel worthy. How many of us do, truth be told? We've heard the stories the world has told about us, and we have let them shape how we see ourselves. You know what I mean? Maybe it was someone in our families, or a teacher, or the mean kids in the middle school cafeteria. But at some point in our lives, most of us have heard messages about ourselves that were not true, at least not entirely true. We are told things about our intelligence, our likability, our goodness, and once we've been labeled, it's hard to peel that label off. That was the case with the woman at the well, but the life-giving water Jesus offered her, it was exactly what she needed to wash off those labels and even that sticky residue they left, and to see herself as she truly was, a beloved child of God. Nothing in her past, true or false, could change that. It is the same for you too. Whatever you have done or haven't done, whoever you are or are not, you are a beloved child of God, worthy of giving and also of receiving. You have a remarkable gift to share with the world, just as the world does with you. And how we practice this lesson as followers of Jesus is we pour into each other from the love that we have been given by God. Not only taking, but giving. Not only giving, but taking. It is a balancing act, isn't it? Like being on a teeter-totter, which of course you can't ride alone. I don't know whether you are up or down right now, empty or full, dry or soaked, but I do want you to know that you are not alone. Come to the well. Meet Jesus. You know who else is there? All of us who gather around him to learn and quench our deep thirst. What, you didn't bring a cup? No problem. I did, and I will